This is the audiobook of the book called The Donovan. It was copyrighted this year in 2017. This is Chapter 1, The Neighborhood. It was once a desirable neighborhood. The same couldn't be said now. Crime, poverty, and other unsightly things happen, specifically prostitution. What became of this area of town? What happened to the Donovan? Like many urban areas, what used to represent prosperity had come to represent anything but. One of the older communities of Sudbury, Ontario, had transformed. Was the transformation inevitable? It certainly wasn't unusual. It happened all over the place, and Sudbury was no exception. John Travers was witnessing the change firsthand. He had grown up in the Donovan, had his office there, and lived nearby now. He was a quiet man and mostly minded his own business, but it was becoming more and more difficult for him. The transformation was happening right in front of his eyes. It was difficult for John to see the neighborhood. He had so many fond childhood memories of change for the worse. On top of the change, his business wasn't going so well. JT Renovations is finding it difficult. Not many people found the Donovan a desirable place to live. The retail housing market was down, and being linked to it, so was his business. The last 2 years had been particularly difficult. John had started his own business as a young man. He had opened a construction company, and it had made him a decent living. Many would have said more than that. His company did mostly local work. Most of the houses in his neighborhood needed new roofs. In the past, JT Renovations had been hired to do much larger jobs, but John was desperate, so took on any job he found. They provided him with enough money to pay for his employees, while he pocketed the rest of it after buying supplies. Those he hired were grateful for having a job, but resented the fact that he was so well off compared to them. Slap! The shingle sounded as it landed on the pile of old shingles thrown on the small front lawn in front of the house. The 3 overly tan young men, wearing jeans and work boots, sweated profusely from above on the roof under the bright beating sun. It was another hot summer day. The lawn was brown. It hadn't been watered in over a week. "How's it going today?" John asked from below, looking up. "It's damn hot," one of the guys answered, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Relax, guys. John has come to see how we're doing." Bob Smith was the most senior roofer. He reached for his back pocket where a small towel hung. He wiped his face and shoulders. He used a towel to wipe his underarms. The other 2 men followed his lead and then sat comfortably down on the lawn, taking a needed break. "I know it's hot. No doubt about it. Do you think you'll be finished getting the old ones off today?" John asked Bob. "Yeah, we'll have all the old shingles removed. We may even get a start on some of the new ones. Who knows? If we're going to make any money on this job, we have to be finished by the end of the week. That shouldn't be a problem. Are they calling for rain this week? More of the same is what I heard. Then we'll be finished. Good. Bob wasn't happy with what he had just heard. He'd been on this roof for the rest of the week, making John money. Bob was hoping for rain so that he might get a day off. The last thing he wanted to hear was that he and his crew would be doing this under the hot sun for the next few days straight. He felt they could use a day off. John had opened his firm, JT Renovations, 10 years ago after working for another contractor, Roofs and Things, for 5 years. Roofs and Things had given him the idea. Most of the roofing work went to Roofs and Things to this day. They were priced well, always did what they said they were going to do, and very importantly, finished on time. John found this an important aspect of the home renovation business. People didn't like being inconvenienced at home, and finishing on time was paramount. After all, their home was their castle. JT Renos had been competing for jobs for some time now, and had made a good reputation for itself. The price was good, the work exceptional. Currently, John only employed the roofers, but at one time, in its heyday, JT's employed 12 full-time employees and used part-time employees as needed. John had converted a service station on Kathleen to be his office. It was JT Renovations' home base, and where John spent most of his time when he wasn't at home with Jeanette and their 2 children, John Jr. and Tammy. They were 5 and 3 years of age, respectively. John Jr. was called Johnny. I just came by to see how things were going, if I could be of help. No, I don't think so. We're fine, Bob answered, reaching into the cooler to get some water out for his fellow workers. Did you want some? He asked, handing the bottle to Jim. Thanks, Jim said, taking a swig, and then handing the bottle to Peter. He asked, a drink? Please, thanks. I'd better be going. I have a bid to prepare. It's for a decent-sized job, John said. Where? Bob asked. Not far. Right by Marymount. It's not only the roof. There's some inside work, too. Good. I hope it's a sign of things to come, but I don't know. Don't get our hopes up. Maybe we'll get it. So far this year, it's been slow. Now that I think about it, last year wasn't great either. No, we've had better years. I better be going. I've got a bid to prepare. Good luck. We'll be finished here by the end of the week. What's next? Another roofing job. The work I'm bidding on today won't come up until next month, but at least a job we can sink our teeth into. As I said, it's not only the roof. There's some indoor work too. I hope we get it. I'm going to come in lean. There's no way our price will be beat. John turned and went to his pickup he had parked out front. Bob watched the truck disappear down the road. The lettering on the pickup that said JT Renovations got smaller and smaller as John went down the street in the direction of Kathleen. He put his turn signal on and negotiated the corner, turning onto Kathleen to head east toward Notre Dame. Reaching into the cooler for another bottle of water, Bob looked at Jim and asked, "Some more?" "Thanks," Jim answered as he took it and had a large gulp. "Mike? Water?" Mike had a drink as well. The three men sat and relaxed for a moment longer until Bob said, "We better get back to work. It'd be nice to get that new job." "That it would," Jim said. "Well, we better get back at her," Bob said, putting an end to their short break. "Okay, let's go," Mike said, making his way to an area on their roof they hadn't started yet. Joining Mike, Jim and Bob simultaneously said, "Let's go," and the three men went back to work. "Hi-ho, hi-ho, back to work we go," Bob sang as they started again. There was no reaction from the other two men. They went about removing the old shingles. John turned left into the lot of his office close to Notre Dame on Kathleen. Like always, John brought his truck to an abrupt halt only inches from the brick wall and got out to unlock the door. Once inside, he went to his desk and reached in a drawer to get the Bertram file out. Not only did they want their roof done, they wanted their kitchen and bathrooms done as well. It was an older house, built in the 1940s. It was the vintage of most houses in the neighborhood. Not terribly old, but approaching 100. It was made of red brick and standing 2.5 stories high. It wasn't wide and stood next to the neighbor's house by only a few feet. Although technically detached, only a little bit of grass separated the two. John decided he would prepare a quote, assuming the wiring was good. It was either this or build in a contingency. Contingencies hadn't worked well in the past. The customer didn't like them. Must be a fear of the unknown, he thought. John found that people were more willing to renegotiate once a problem was identified. The reluctance of people to accept contingencies had always puzzled him. But he had come to the conclusion that they just weren't trusted. They were treated as an absolute, not a contingency at all. So he left them off a bit and dealt with them as they arose. After all, the customer was always right. Although not his style, it worked for him, or at least it seemed to. John reached for his remote control and turned the music on. He looked down at his watch and settled in for the remainder of the day. He planned on finishing the quote today. He was willing to come in on the cheap and wait until business picked up. Any day now, he hoped. John pulled his truck to the front of the garage of his house. The house overlooked Bell Park and the old hospital. The hospital was being converted to condominiums, but in his mind it was taking far too long. He wondered if they'd ever be finished. The conversion had started more than a year ago, and he hadn't noticed any change. There must be some. Must be on the inside, he thought. Opening the front door and stepping through, he said, "Hi, honey. I'm home." "Daddy, Daddy," the kid said, screaming, running to the door. "Hi. How are you, my little rascals? Have you been good today for your mother?" "Yes," they answered meekly. "That's good." And turning his attention to Jeanette, he asked, "What are we having for dinner?" "Not much. Pork chops, salad, and rice." Sounds good. Were the kids good today? Johnny and Tammy hated it when he asked this question. They felt their indiscretions would be given up, and they would be punished. In their minds, it was part of his job. They were angels today. You wouldn't even have known they were here. Phew, they were off the hook. Rubbing their heads on the way by, John went to join Jeanette in the kitchen. "How was your day today?" she asked. "It wasn't bad. We're doing that roof on Montague. I went by there before going to the office." "How's the roof?" "It's going well. Should be finished by the end of the week." "And then what are you going to do?" "I have nothing lined up yet, but there's a roofing job with a kitchen and bathrooms over by Marymount. I was preparing the bid today." "Do you think you'll get it?" "I'm lowballing it. I should. I can't see anybody beating my price. We'll see." "Honey," Jeanette said, and adding with as much optimism as she could, "You'll get it." "I don't know." "You'll get it," she repeated. "I hope you're right. Do you need any help with supper? The table set?" "Sure, if you set the table, I can just stay in here. Thanks." "You're welcome." "What were you and the kids up to today?" "Not very much. I did some chores. The kids I hardly heard. There were cartoons on earlier. I don't know what they were up to." "Oh yeah. They played on the computer for 1 or 2 hours. They were as quiet as mice." "That's good. I bet you wish every day was like that." "That'd be nice." "I would." "Speaking about the kids, where are they?" "They're upstairs in the den. I think they're on the computer now." "Dinner should be ready in an hour." "All right," John acknowledged. "Would you like some wine?" "Yes, please." "Coming up." John went to the refrigerator and got some wine, reached for wine glasses, poured the wine, and gave a glass to her. "Thank you." "You're welcome. I'll get the table. After that, I think I'll just put my feet up for a moment. You'll be okay?" "I'll manage. Relax. Kick your feet up. By dinner time, you should be good." John went to the pantry to get some tableware and utensils. He put them on the table as if he had done it before. He had. With the table set, he went to relax in the living room. He got in a reclining chair, kicked his shoes off, wiggled his toes, put some wine on the small table beside the recliner, sat back, and relaxed. Although he looked relaxed, his mind raced. What are we going to do? How can I guarantee winning that bid? When is this drought going to end? Were just a few of the questions that were filling his already full mind. Jeanette busied herself in the kitchen and left him alone. She couldn't have known that she would have been better off challenging him as she usually did, but not this time. This time, she decided to leave him alone and let him relax. Mistake. No sooner than he became aware that she was doing this, the solitude that resulted for him caused him to think even more. John didn't understand how things worked. He was bright, a hard worker, and willing to do anything to support his family. Why isn't JT's working? He wondered. John didn't have answers to these questions, but he found it ironic that he now found himself hurting for money. "I've never been short of money," he thought. John always had money. certainly for the past 10 years since he'd opened JT's. This house was a testament to his success. In his mind, he was aware of far too many people who did well despite not offering nearly as much as he did. It disturbed him. It upset him, and he didn't know what to do. He was at a loss. He thought about the prostitutes and how the otherwise no-talented young women made it. Even I can do that. After all, we're just biological entities. Nothing more, nothing less. But John's problem was how he was going to survive in the world. To be skeptical, the world the biological entities created. Extremely important to his psychological well-being was how he could have his family survive without sacrificing their way of life, what they'd become used to. John was going to have it no other way, so their lifestyle was untouchable. His pig-headedness, or was it a chauvinistic attitude, had resulted in his landing on one conclusion: my family isn't going to suffer. No way. With one last gulp, John finished his wine and went to join Jeanette in the kitchen. He hugged her from behind. She leant back and kissed his cheek. He spun her around, catching her with his arms, and proceeded to hug her. He did this often enough that she had come to expect it. "Would you like more wine, dear?" "Yes, please," she said. "Here you go," he said as he topped her glass up and filled his own. "We have another 20 minutes or so before dinner is ready. Did you want to go upstairs?" He smiled, tugging her toward them. "We can't," she purred, "but I'd like to. Damn kids." "Damn kids," he repeated. "I guess we'll have to just stay down here." "Probably," she laughed. John had a lot to think about. He needed that job. He felt it would be the start of his luck turning around. The last 2 years hadn't been good for his business. The first 8 years had been. In fact, they had resulted in a lifestyle they had become accustomed to. Living in a desirable area of the city, overlooking the park on the lake, having one of the larger homes in the city, having 2 cars along with his fleet of small trucks he used for business, and never being short of money to purchase whatever stylish toy was needed. The toys weren't only for the kids. Adults had theirs too. After rounding the kids up, Jeanette served dinner. Dinner was relatively quiet. The kids misbehaved only once. For the most part, the family quietly sat around the table, focusing mostly on what she had served. He watched the children, noticing that they were well behaved, all things considered. But he couldn't get his mind off the dilemma he found himself, and by extension, his family in. "John, you have a lot on your mind." "I do. I don't know what to do. JT's has always provided for our family well, I'd say. These last 2 years have been tough. There's just not as many jobs out there. And jobs that are there, they don't pay as well." Sincerely, she offered, "We'll just have to tighten our belts." "We have been." "You haven't noticed?" "No." "Well, we have. Something has to turn around." "It has been 2 years," he said, flabbergasted. "John, we're still doing well, better than most." "I know we are." "Daddy, what are you talking about?" Tammy asked. "Nothing. I'm just worried about JT's. Your company's not doing well? Yes, it is, honey. Don't worry about it. It's just that it's not doing as well as it used to. It's harder now. Tammy's focus went elsewhere. She looked at her plate and the food on it. The rest of dinner was quiet for the family as they sat eating what Jeanette had prepared. Johnny and Tammy were abnormally quiet. They sensed something was wrong with their father. He played with his food, absently occasionally taking a bite, slowly chewing it lost in thought. When John finished his plate long after the children, who focused almost entirely on eating, Jeanette went to go get the pie she had prepared. "Tammy, would you like some ice cream with your pie?" she asked on the way to the pie that sat cooling on the counter. "Yes, please." "Johnny?" "Yes." "John, do you want some?" "Please." "Ice cream or cheese?" "I think I'll have cheese, please." "I'm going to go upstairs after dinner." "First I'll clear the plates," he answered, standing to clear the table. "Dinner was delicious." "Thank you." Jeanette knew something was bothering him. They had met at a club one evening through mutual friends. They immediately hit it off, and it went from there. She recalled their first dinner date. John had called unexpectedly one evening, being caught off guard. She hadn't known whether to accept, but she had. And with the way everything had worked out, she was glad that she had. At the time, John had just started JT's. He was busier than she liked. His work took him away from the attention she felt she deserved as one of the better-looking available women in the city. She had never had a problem getting a date and wasn't used to taking a backseat to someone's work, but with John, she had to. His standoffishness was something that had attracted her. His looks and self-confidence had helped. But it was different now. They had a family, and for her, family took priority, especially the children. "You know, John, everything will be all right." "I hope so. It's just that I've never been in this situation before. I don't know what to do. JT's has always been good to us. It has, and it will be again. Don't worry." Immediately after dinner, John went up to the study. Standing at the desk, he looked out the window, not knowing what to do. He stepped back, put his hand to his chin, and paced back and forth. He needed that job. He'd cut his price. What if I don't get it? He wondered. Trying not to let the thought of it get the best of him, he sat at the desk, put the file on it. He would go through it one more time, and make sure everything was all right. He would see if he couldn't sharpen his pencil even more and end up with a price that couldn't be beaten. At least in his mind. He got both the family and JT's financial information out. JT's was bleeding. His family wasn't. John decided he would work for free this time around. This was the first and last time he was going to do that. The thought of it didn't make him happy. He had always drawn a salary, a hefty one at that, and this time he wasn't going to. There was no way his competition could compete with that. At least, that's what he convinced himself of. John had been reviewing his bid and going over the numbers for almost 3 hours when he heard, "John, Time for the kids to get ready for bed. You should come down and say good night. I'll be right there. Just let me pack my files and get ready for work tomorrow. Take your time. They'll be fine. That they will be, he thought. You're darn right they will be. He gathered his papers, put them in a file marked the Bertrands, organized his desk, turned the light off, and went downstairs to say good night. Come here, you rascals. It's your bedtime already? I must have lost track of time. How long have I been up there? Almost 3 hours, Johnny answered. 3 hours? Yep, 3 hours. Have you been good for your mother? Jeanette interrupted, saying, They've been very good, quiet as mice. That's good. Now come to see your father and say good night. Johnny and Tammy ran over to hug and kiss him good night. He returned the hugs and kisses, saying good night, and ushered them upstairs, helping them along with a gentle push. Jeanette followed them, helped them change into their pajamas, made sure they brushed their teeth. Mummy, why do I have to go to bed? Johnny asked. 'Cause it's bedtime. But Tammy's just going. I'm older. I know you are, but I lost track of time. Be a good boy. Make tonight an exception. We'll get back to normal tomorrow, okay? Reluctantly, he answered, Okay, slowly making his way to his bedroom. Good night. Sleep tight, she said as she saw them to their bedrooms. Jeanette went downstairs to join John. He was watching television. What would you like to watch? He asked. It doesn't matter. Whatever's on, she answered, nestling beside him on the couch. There were 2 different CSIs on that evening, so John and Jeanette settled in and watched them both. After watching them, one took place in Las Vegas, the other in Miami. They called it a night, went upstairs to bed. Jeanette was miffed. Uncharacteristically, John hadn't been at all physical so far that night, despite her making it abundantly clear that she was in the mood. He hadn't kissed her, hadn't fondled her. This isn't normal, she thought. There must be something on his mind. And she was right. JT's, and consequently his financial woes, weighed heavily on his mind. It was the middle of the night. She was woken by John. He was in a cold sweat, sitting on the bed with his hands massaging his forehead. Is everything all right? She asked, half asleep. I had a nightmare. I never have nightmares. A nightmare? What kind of nightmare? I don't know. All I know is that it woke me up. Look at me. Honey, we all have nightmares every now and then. I guess so. Probably has something to do with your business. Maybe, he reluctantly admitted, but the kids were gone. You were gone. Everything was gone. Try not to worry about it. Try to go back to sleep. Okay, I'll try. The rest of the night wasn't comfortable for him. He tossed and turned, fought to get back to sleep, but he wasn't successful. He had a terrible night. Whatever was on his mind didn't allow him to relax and fall back asleep. As usual, John screeched to a halt just inches away from the building he had rented for the headquarters of JT Renovations. He had brought the Bertrand file with him. He planned to go over the budget one more time and submit his quote. Like when he had decided he would work for free, he was confident he would win this bid. There's no way I can be underbid. The glass front door shut as John entered the two-story white-painted building just past the railway tracks on Kathleen Street. His office was just to the right. It was a functional office. On the cheap wooden door hung a sign saying JT Renovations. There was a desk and a metal four-drawer filing cabinet finished gray. Behind the desk sat a gray cloth-finished chair. Much like the services he offered, there weren't a lot of frills, just the bare essentials. It always amused him when his clients felt what they were doing was luxurious, when in his mind it wasn't. Neither he nor his clients felt getting a roof redone was luxurious. It was the indoor work he had gotten in the past where the different outlooks were clear, particularly when kitchens and bathrooms had been renovated. Did the kitchen and bathroom work look good? Yes. But make look luxurious? No. Putting his coffee on the desk, John reached into his briefcase to get the Bertrand file out. He felt there was no way he could be underbid. He looked it over again, nonetheless. He was sure, without taking a salary, competition couldn't compete. This was his chance to turn his luck around. The recession couldn't go on forever. And with a good review from the Bertrands, JT Reno's reputation would grow again. People would be clamoring to have JTs do their work for them. The firm would have to hire more skilled workers, not just roofers. Nothing would make him happier. Sitting at his desk, a small smile came to his face as he thought about the future and what it meant to him and his family. As he had yesterday, he felt the possibility of JT's being underbid didn't exist. There was just no way. He looked over the bid one more time, to no avail. He had sharpened his pencil. He was willing to work for free. Is there any way I can reduce the bid further? There wasn't anything more he could do. He had only recovered his costs. He hadn't even covered his costs if you were to include his salary. He would get it in the mail today. His small smile broke into a grin. He was sure he would land it. The job on Montague came to his mind. He wondered how the crew was making out. Looking out the window, he saw the sun well on its way up. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. From what he was looking at and had heard yesterday on the afternoon news, it was going to be another scorching hot day. He didn't envy his workers, but he was going there to see how they were doing in any case. John pulled his truck to the front of the house on Montague and got out. The three roofers were there, tearing the last section of old shingles off. In an hour or two, they'd be putting new shingles on. They were neatly stacked on the lawn below. Good morning. How's it going today? Good morning, Bob said. We should be starting with new shingles today. Another couple of days, and we'll be finished. What's next? I finished up a bid yesterday. I want to drop it in the mail today. Work may start next week. Where's the job? Not too far from here. Near Marymount. Oh, the job you were mentioning yesterday. Yep, that one. Looks like it's going to be another scorcher today. You can say that again. It's already hot up here. Hang in there. This weather has to break. Let's hope it does. I just came by to see how things were going. Do you need anything? I don't think so. We're fine. Don't work the young fellows too hard, Bob. I won't. Trust me. I know how hot it can get up there. I know you do. That's why you're in charge. I just came by to see how it's going and see if you needed anything. If you don't, I'll be going to drop this off, John said, waving the bit in the air. I think we'll get it. I can't imagine anybody coming in lower. We're not going to make money, but it'll keep us in business, and that's all we can ask for right now. I look forward to the good old days. They're coming. Keep your chin up. I will. See you later. See you later. On his way from the house to his truck, John waved and quickly scanned the packages of shingles that laid on the front lawn. Satisfying himself that there were enough of them, he continued to his truck and left. He had to find a mailbox and post his bid. He could always stop at the post office on his way home. For whatever reason, he thought this would be the safest approach, so decided to do it. Jeanette, kids, I'm home. There was no answer. John looked into the living room, but there was no one there. It seemed awfully quiet. John saw them out by the pool. The children were frolicking in the shallow end. They didn't seem to have a care in the world, and that was how he liked it. Jeanette was in a bikini, laying on a chaise lounge beside the pool. Looking at her through the sliding door, he was reminded about what had attracted him to her in the first place. She was well put together. Even relaxing there, she looked delicious. Putting his thoughts elsewhere, he opened the door. "Hi." "Daddy!" the kid screamed. "Hi, Jeanette." "Hi, John. How was your day?" "You're early. I haven't even started supper." "I left a bit early today. I had to go by the post office and drop that bit off." Looking up at him, slipping her sunglasses down to the end of her nose, she said, "That's good. Do you think you'll get it?" "We should. I can't imagine anybody coming in lower. I think this is the start. I'm sure it is. This recession can't go on forever." "I agree. It can't. How long has it been now?" "A couple of years. But I have a feeling we're about to turn the corner. It hasn't affected us very much." "No, not yet. I'm not paying myself this time, so until it turns around, we'll have to live off savings. We have enough of those, though, don't we?" "Yeah, we do. It's only that this is the first time. I'm not used to it." "What did your accountant say?" "He's not worried. He only cautioned that I shouldn't make a habit of it, and I don't plan to. It's a short-term measure." "How long has business been hurting?" "A couple of years now. People aren't renovating as much anymore. Money's tight. They put it off as long as they can. We've been good until now. I'm sure we'll be good for the next couple of years. Don't worry, honey. We'll be fine. As I said, my accountant agrees. I'm not going to make a habit of not paying myself." "I'm not worried. I know you're good. I thought we could have steak tonight. Do you feel like barbecuing?" "I can do that. What else will we have?" "Thought we could have a salad and some rice. What do you think?" "Sounds good to me. Just let me know when." "Okay, I will." John went back into the house, leaving Jeanette and kids alone. He mixed himself a drink. Peeking his head out the door, he asked, "Would you like something to drink?" "A glass of wine would be nice." "Coming up." John wore a brave face for his family. He didn't want Jeanette and especially the kids, although they weren't likely to think JT's was in financial trouble, and the firm was. He certainly hadn't envisioned not being able to draw a salary off his business. Drawing a salary while profiting the rest had come into his thinking when he had opened JT's. He had been correct until now. Much to his chagrin, he found himself having to work for free so that his firm could wait for better days. Instead of paying myself so much, I should have saved some of the profits for a rainy day, he thought. But it hadn't been the case. The firm had a couple $1,000 in the bank, paid him a lot. JT's situation forced him to reevaluate a lot of the decisions he had made as he had gone, and some of them, in retrospect, he would have made differently, particularly the one that had him drawing so much to pay himself. Sure, it had been good for him and the family, but now he was at a precipice of changing lifestyle, one that Jeanette and the children, his family, couldn't know. "Here you go," John said, handing Jeanette the glass of wine while careening his drink in his left hand. "Thanks. After this," she said, holding her glass in his direction, "I'm going to start dinner. Are you hungry?" "I am." "How were the children's day?" "They were fine. We'd been out by the pool for a couple of hours now. They love it. I know they do. At least for now. So let's enjoy it while we can." "Daddy, are you coming in?" Tammy yelled as she splashed her brother. "No, not today." "Aw!" "Have fun with your brother. Your mother and I are going to relax for a little bit, and then," his voice got more excited, "we're going to barbecue. Do you want to help?" "Yes," she answered from the pool. "Okay, in half an hour or so." Tammy turned her attention to Johnny and splashed him again. He, with the coordination that comes with age, returned the favor and splashed her back. He was better at it. Like kids do, they were having a ball. "Dear, we could always have Johnny change schools," Jeanette said. "Change schools? What are you talking about? He just started kindergarten." "I know, but it costs us a lot of money. We can put him in a public school before Tammy starts. That way, they would both be going to the same school." "Tammy's going to go to the same school," John said with frustration evident in his voice. The thought of JT's not working angered him. "I thought we had agreed on that." "We have. But if JT's not going so well, we could save a lot of money if they both went to public schools. That private school costs us a lot of money, and soon we will be able to double that." "I know, but it's worth it." "John," she paused to collect her thoughts, "there's nothing wrong with public schools. But the private schools offer a better education for the kids." "So they say. There are lots of kids who do just fine at public schools." Looking at her quizzically, he said, "I think you're overreacting. We're not there yet. We'll get this job. Things will all be normal again. I agree with my accountant, and I'm not going to work for free forever. In fact, this is the first time and the last time." "I hope so. Let's wait and see. We've hit a rough patch. It's not that bad yet, is it?" No, of course not. I'm just trying to be helpful. There are ways we can save money. We don't need all the things we have." "No, we don't. But I like them." "Me too. But we don't need them." "No, we don't. But we're not even close to being there yet." "Let's discuss it again when we have to." "Okay, honey. Just remember, there are ways." "Okay. Are you going to put the barbecue on?" "I'm going to get out of my bathing suit and start supper," she said as she stood to go into the house. Looking at her hips moving from side to side as she walked to the house, he mumbled under his breath, "Damn kids. If they weren't here, we'd be doing something else. Something a lot more enjoyable." At 30, Jeanette was a young woman and still maintained the look she was blessed with. She exercised at least 3 times a week. She belonged to a gym not far away.